Venus Fridays. So let's talk about what is going on with Venus, our divine feminine planet, this week, so we can more consciously tune into the divine feminine energy available to us this week. So the first thing today is the Cancer new moon, right? So the moon is often associated with the feminine. So that's another planet that you could tune into that energy as well. Also, the fact that it's in Cancer is that archetypal energy of the healthy mother that's nurturing, wants to help something grow, is providing nourishment for, wants to help its little seed grow into maturity, right? So sometimes that is children, but not necessarily. It can be any kind of a project, right? So having this new moon in Cancer, it's the start of the moon cycle, right? The monthly moon cycle. And so it's that time of the dark moon when the moon and the sun are right together, and we want to set our intention for the month, right? So what do we want to focus on for this month? And it can be with Cancer type themes, right? Maybe it's, taking better care of ourselves, or nurturing something about ourselves, or taking care of a relationship that we have, or our job, or something like that, right? Like providing that kind of energy. Or it can be something totally different, right? It doesn't necessarily have to have those Cancer themes to it, but that's the energy available of the sun and the moon meeting, right? So I'm going to show that here in Stellarium so we can just see the visual of it. And we're going to kind of go back and forth. So here is, let me just make this bigger so I can see. Here is the moment, right? Today, July 5th, of the sun and the moon coming together. So I'm going to zoom into that. I'm going to kind of move this over here a little bit, zoom in a little bit more, and see how they are aligned, right? So the sun is not set. Here's facing west. The sun is moving towards setting. The sun is up, and they are aligned with each other here in Cancer in the twins constellation, right? Because again, constellations are different than tropical astrology that's focused on the seasons, right? And the seasonal changes. And that's where the signs come from. So just to kind of be aware, I'm just going to turn the sun on, right? So that's the place we don't see the moon, right? But we turn the sun off, and here's the ground, just, kind of orienting us to what we're looking at. I'll turn the ground back off, but here's that alignment. And they're not right at the nodes. That's why it's not an eclipse, right? So the moon is above the sun here from my view in Colorado, right? Northern hemisphere view. So sun and moon coming together in Cancer, the start of the new moon cycle. It's that dark of the moon time when we want to be just taking a moment in that stillness that it provides of the sun, the light, spirit coming together with the moon, soul, that type of energy of where they're intersecting. And what do we want to focus on for this 1 month? And I really like to encourage everyone to set an intention that's like really a doable, measurable thing, right? So if like Cancer's about unconditional love, then a really broad kind of hard to measure intention would be like, I'm going to focus on more unconditional love for myself this month. Well, what does that mean? And what does that look like? And how do you know that you've accomplished that over the month, right? But maybe something that's more measurable is like, I am going to eat healthy during the work week or something, right? And then do whatever I want on the weekend. That provides more love towards myself. I'm taking care of my body. I'm nourishing myself, nurturing my body, taking care of myself. That's a measurable thing that I can go, oh, okay, this is something like action that I can actually take that supports my larger intention of unconditionally loving myself more, right? Okay, so anyways, here we are, the new moon. It's the perfect time to just set that intention of something like you can handle. If eating healthy 5 days a week is like, oh my gosh, that's too much. Maybe it's like 1 day a week, right? 1 day a week, I'm going to focus on eating healthy, right? Like something that's doable and not like a huge stressor to make happen, but that moves us, the needle, a little bit in the direction of where we want to be headed. Okay, so that's today. And then tomorrow, the moon meets with Venus, right? Still in the underworld. We can't see Venus yet, but she's about to come out of the underworld and into the evening sky. And we're going to talk about that in a second. But it's this powerful time when the moon meets with Venus, right? On the heels of the new moon. So a lot of highlighting energy around Cancer, the divine feminine, being present. How do we take care of ourselves? How do we let ourselves rest? Like, what is the divine feminine, right? It's that aspect that isn't constantly doing, honors our intuition, honors our ability to take care of ourselves. So there's a lot of powerful energy here around this new moon and then into Saturday when the moon meets with Venus. And then Venus, right after that, moves into Leo, right? So sorry, the moon, I wrote my notes wrong. I was like, wait, that's not right. The moon moves into Leo. So shifting that energy. And that's another great way to tune into the divine feminine. Pay attention to what sign the moon is in and just notice, like, what do you feel? What's happening with your energy? What's going on? So that you can keep kind of anchoring and connecting yourself into those greater cycles of the moon, Venus, the sun, the seasons, the earth, the sky, all of that. Then the moon meets with Mercury on Sunday. So highlighting that mental activated component for us, right? Our consciousness, thinking world. So from the sun, spirit, to Venus, the feminine, to the mind and our thoughts and understandings. And then on Monday, Venus sextiles Uranus. So Venus has got a lot going on this week. Sextiles Uranus, so comes into this flowing relationship around change and greater awareness and consciousness. So it's kind of right on the heels of that moon meeting with Mercury, highlighting the mind, the consciousness. Now, Venus does that in a much broader, universal way with Uranus. So it could be a day to tune into like epiphanies, downloads, things that you get around your feminine expression, right? Again, that place of yin, being present, the stillness, beingness, right? Rather than all of this activity. So it's like, might be on Monday that you're like, whoa, I have an aha of how I'm like running around doing this thing I don't really need to be doing, like that kind of a thing, as a for instance. Then on Tuesday, the moon moves into Virgo. So it moves into a much more kind of cerebral, earth-based sign, right? So Virgo is that sign that's just paying attention to what is going on the earth and in the world and with the animals, to anchor us into the spiritual, right? Her sacred work. So what are you feeling and noticing while the moon is in Leo? And then when the moon moves into Virgo, does that change? Does it feel the same? What do you notice within your internal body and being? And then on Wednesday is a big deal for the Venus cycle, right? So Venus becomes 10 degrees away from the sun on Wednesday. And at Venus Alchemy, where I teach with Kaylin K. Castell, we pick a 10-degree orb. That's a 10-degree difference of when Venus is potentially visible. This is a moving target based on the signs and all kinds of factors in your horizon line. But I've seen Venus when she's less than 10 degrees from the sun. And then where I live, because I have a really high mountain horizon line, it's probably going to still be a while after Wednesday when I'll be able to see Venus in the evening sky. But starting Wednesday is a good time to start checking it out after the sun sets. Can you see Venus? She's about to become visible, and that will be different for each of us based on our location and based on our horizon line. So I'm going to share my screen again, and we are going to look at this once. We're going to look at this where it's happening. Actually, sorry, I'm going to do a different share. Let's go to, I wanted to look at the chart first just to kind of show you this. So here is my Astro Gold software, and I just have Venus, the sun, and then the DS is the descendant. So this is the horizon line, right? I use a whole sign house system. So it puts all of a sign in each house, where you may use like Porphyry or Placidus, and it puts the horizon line on this horizontal line. So either way, you can imagine this descendant line. That is the horizon line. So here we have the sun has set at 19 degrees and Venus is at 29 degrees, right? So Venus is still up above the horizon in the sky. They're 10 degrees away from each other. And this is the kind of general rule we use at Venus Alchemy of when Venus rises into the evening sky here, right? Again, you may see Venus on Wednesday if you have a really flat horizon line. We'll see. She's in Cancer, so we'll just see how that all goes. But for me, I will be I could probably safely say I'm not going to see her for a while still. So now let's look in the sky and just see what this is, right? So the reason why we're talking about this is because like Venus has been in the underworld, right? Traveling with the sun. We haven't been able to see her for months. And now all of a sudden she is going to be shining and we are going to see her in the evening sky for months, right? And we're going to start the ascent back through the chakra gates, moving up each month, following the oldest myth we have written down, right? The oldest writing we have about the Queen Inanna that is really about Venus. So let's advance this here to the 10th. And let's move, oops, sorry, the 10th. And then let's move it to where we were just looking at the chart so we can see it. I'm going to put this up. I'm going to zoom it over so we can see. So again, here is the horizon line, right? The descendant, the DS is right here that we saw in the chart. I'm going to turn that back off. So the sun is set and Venus is still up, right? I have the sun turned down so we can see. So let's turn the sun on and see, right? So here the sun is set. Again, I'll put the ground back on. And so maybe some of you will be able to see Venus in that afterglow of the sunset if you have a really low horizon line. Now me here, I have mountains, right? All along this horizon line. So I'm not going to see Venus yet. She needs to get further from the sun to be above that horizon line and enough distance from the sun setting that I'll be able to see and visualize. But I just wanted to show that here because this is important, because this is the start of the evening star phase of the Venus cycle, right? So the divine feminine is coming out of the underworld. She's undergone the transformation. We've been in the thick of things, you know, doing that sort of cocoon kind of place. And then all of a sudden now she's going to rise into the evening sky, a very earth-based kind of energy, and start this ascent back out of the underworld, reclaiming her power at her root chakra, sacral chakra, solar plexus, heart, right? Each month when the moon meets with Venus, it signifies moving through this next gate, and we get to focus on reclaiming our power. Went through the morning star time. We release distortions, disturbances to our chakras, went through the alchemical, shamanic death and rebirth of the underworld phase. And now we're moving into this new phase of the Venus cycle where we get to reclaim our power. So this is a really powerful time and transition in the divine feminine. So it's like kind of bringing to a close this underworld time and then slowly transitioning into like coming out of the cocoon as the butterfly and moving back into visibility and reclaiming our internal power. And it's this beautiful cycle, like the moon cycle happens every month. The Venus cycle happens every 19 months, but it's this time to over and over cyclical. That's the feminine energy as well. Move through the cycle of clearing, cleansing, and empowerment. Cleansing and empowerment, right? Keep moving that ourselves forward towards the place that we really, where we're the more and more in alignment with our soul path, our soul energy, who we're here to be, where we feel more and more content within our lives, right? Okay, so that's what's happening with Venus, our divine feminine energy. It's a big week, so just be gentle with yourself. Let yourself just feel what you feel. Let whatever comes up, and know that we're moving towards this empowerment time. And then finally on Thursday, Venus then moves into Leo. So you may see Venus rise in Cancer if you're really, really lucky, or most of us are going to see Venus rise into the evening star, into the evening sky time in Leo, which is what we're in, a big 19-month Leo cycle. So it's all characterized around deep self-love, deep self-care, connecting to our creativity, connecting to the knowing that we are our divine nature, connecting to our intuition, trusting that, right? Letting that energy keep coming forward as we stumble and figure our way through this patriarchal time that's shifting back into that empowerment with the divine feminine. So thanks for being here with me, and I appreciate it. And yeah, I'll see you next week. Bye.